So if you've decided you want to invite me to work with you, the first decision along the way is to really get clear about what it is you need from me, and also how long you would like me to work on your charts for. So I organize my diary in 30, 60 and 90-minute increments. And each of those time capsules, I guess, or little meetings or consultations are really suited for a particular kind of inquiry. And so in this video, I'm just going to quickly detail how they might be best used. So the 30 minutes, I think, are really useful for a quick shot of information. It's best used for when I'm working on my own. And if you want to understand the difference with that, check out the other video. But with a 30-minute reading, what I usually do is just ask for all the details that you want to know about something. Maybe you're asking about a particular situation, not necessarily a really in-depth situation where there might be lots of stakeholders and complexities, but you might be looking for a little bit of a clarity as in terms of what might be the next step to take. 30 minutes is absolutely perfect for that, because it gives you a quick shot of really good, I would say, in-depth information, even though it's just in 30 minutes. If you think about when I'm doing one of my readings on one of my forecasts, I literally am just talking non-stop. You know, I rarely stop for breath. And it's the same when I'm looking at your chart. So I can actually deliver quite a lot of information in 30 minutes. But like I say, it's more aimed at a quick burst of information. So for instance, you might want to ask me a question such as, am I going in the right direction? If not, what would really be suitable? Now, a lot of readers would say, I only want to have a yes or a no question. You know, for instance, will I get the job, or something like that? And I need to just be really upfront. I don't guarantee results. If I read something, I'm an intuitive astrologer. I tune in, I look at the charts, and I give my absolute best to your question, but I can't guarantee results, because A, I'm not God and I don't pretend to be. B, people change their direction. Like there are other people in your life that might have also a say in the situation you're talking about. So, whilst I can look at a yes, no question, I don't guarantee results. For instance, in terms of medical diagnosis or a legal thing or anything like that, I can't guarantee results. But what I can do in a 30-minute reading is really give you a great description of all the motivations, all the different energies that I see playing into the situation, what might be the easiest thing to change and move forwards on. So you can get a lot of really useful intel on that. A 60-minute reading, I think, is really ideal for like the next step. Like the 90-minute is an absolute deep dive where in fact, it might be easier to describe the 90-minute now. So the 90-minute read, I think, is absolutely perfect for understanding the whole context of the situation that you're in. So for instance, you might be at a life change, which most people wanting to have a reading are at, some kind of crossroads. And you might be about to make a really big decision to change your life in one way or another. And with a 90-minute reading, I can look into a lot of the psychology as to how the situation has arisen, and how it's manifesting in this exact moment because of what's happened in the past, and start to piece it out as to how it might roll out, using the future transits and so on and so forth. With a 90-minute reading, I will flick through 8 or 9 different charts for you. Whatever chart seems to be really important to you, I will draw up before I start my clock for a 90-minute reading. So I could be in and out of charts, looking at your birthday chart for the year ahead, your previous birthday and what that might have meant and to where you are now, your progress charts. The 90-minute is also very good for things like compatibility. I can do that in a 60-minute. So 60 minutes, I think, is good for looking at 1 or 2 issues. So for instance, if you wanted maybe a look at your year ahead, I can look at your solar return chart, your progress chart and your current transits. At the same time, I could also answer a question, because I think once I've got the feel for your birth chart, lots of other things can be added in, you know, but 60 minutes gives me enough time to get grounded in it. But again, 90 minutes just takes it that step further. I can look at comparison charts and synastry and partnerships within 60 minutes, but I think that kind of issue is much better suited for a 90-minute reading, because obviously it's a relationship, and relationships are deep. Now, in terms of looking at charts for other people, because lots of people do ask, I don't look at somebody's chart without their permission if they're an adult, unless they've got their time, place and date of birth emblazoned on the internet somewhere. So if it's part of the public domain, I don't see any problem in doing that, because that information is willingly, you know, it's just openly offered. But aside from that, I don't believe that it's okay to look at somebody's chart without their permission, or, you know, check out their birth details. I am, you know, if it makes sense, happy to look at a flat chart, i.e. maybe just with the date of birth, but not with the time or the place, just so I can see the key transits that might be impacting you and your life, because of your connection. Now, that's a bit different. Like if you've got children, I'm very happy to look at your child's chart, you know, if they're under the age of 16. So, you know, there's a lot of different relationships that can be looked at. And, you know, if I have the permission of the person that you want a reading for instance, you know, I sometimes get couples that would like to understand each other a little bit more deeply, and to understand testing times. One of the things I spend quite a lot of time working on right now, given that I'm an expat, or, you know, I migrated to Portugal 7 years ago, is I work with a lot of people who are deciding to move state, deciding to move country, and I help people create their migration plans as well, so that everything is in tune, not just with them, but for their whole family, so they can find the right times and stuff. So really anything is possible. And, you know, a lot of readers, astrologers and intuitives offer a set, almost like a menu, you know, almost like a menu you'd see at a restaurant, where they say you can have a solar return reading, a this reading, a that reading, etc., etc. I used to do that. I don't do that anymore, because I actually think every reading can have a little bit of everything. So the way I prefer to work is to really find out what you need to know, and take it from there. Before I start on any readings, I always get your time, place and date of birth. And often ask you a question if I don't think that the brief I've been given is very specific. So yeah, we can definitely take it from there. Where you've given me some extra information, for instance, maybe the name of your company, or, you know, if you've given me a hint of an address and it's got something to do with where you're living, I often choose an asteroid that might represent something. Or if you're asking about money or love or your career, I might use things like asteroid talent and more abundancia. So there are lots of extra things that I can pop in. And again, you know, the more specific you are with me at the time of booking, the more I can actually tailor it to your particular needs. For instance, if you want me to look at it as a whole house chart or a Placidus, etc., etc. So I hope that gives you an idea of the scope of what you could have within 30 minutes, 60 minutes or 90 minutes. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the two different ways that I tend to work with clients. So that they're my timings, but you've also got the choice of whether you work with me on a video call or for me to work remotely. And that has a completely different feel, and that also needs to be taken into account. So I hope that was helpful, and catch you in the next video.